Hello, hello. Thank you for tuning in to my channel. So what I want to do here is really give my impressions of the Philippines. It's the first time I've been here. I mean, I've been traveling all around the world. I would describe myself as quite a seasoned traveler, especially all around Southeast Asia. What I want to do really is start off with the finances, of being somewhere, I mean, you know, not just the Philippines, but in Asia, and compare it to, well, I'd say to the UK, but basically to the Western countries. Now, you'll hear a lot of what I talk about and my comparisons more being with the UK and the US. And apologies, Canada, New Zealand, Australia. I've never been to these countries before, and I'm sure they're very lovely. But I'd say, well, of course, I can tell you all about the UK. And America I've been to numerous times, although I haven't been to the States for, I would say, I'm having gimbal troubles, so if you notice a lot of editing here, it will be because, yeah, having a few teething problems with my gimbal here. So anyway, albeit that I haven't been in the States for, I would say easily, for 15 years now, I can for sure come up with a lot of comparisons, and knowing about what's going on in the US in terms of, you know, the economy, the state of the economy, and the reasons why the places like the Philippines could be very attractive to folks that are from certain Western countries like the States and like the UK. Now, firstly, I mean, I'll tell you, I'm not going to go through budgets here because we can all spend as little or as much as we can or want, and it doesn't matter what country you're in. I can tell you that you know, it can appear that you live in a more affordable country, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to keep within certain budgets if you're not obviously managing it well. Okay, so hopefully we're coming at you as raw as I can. I am in a city called Parañaque. It's where I stay. It's where I rent a home here, a condo, and it's right in the thick of it. We are in Metro Manila, and it is a very hustling and bustling city here, as you can tell. And I'm walking this one stretch of road that I'm walking in. There's a lot happening, there's a lot going on, and it's just so convenient for going to the stores, going to, you know, anywhere where you know, obviously you want to eat or pick up some stuff, you know, for home. And you've got it all here. You've got everything here. And this is really where, you know, it all is. Yeah. Now, I would say the beauty of being somewhere like here, this is where I start bringing out the comparisons. Because let's say, for instance, you are living in England and you are, you know, the difference between being in central London, north of the river, to where I'm normally, where I've been essentially growing up for the better, you know, the most part of my life. And we all know from England, and it's going to be the same everywhere, compared to the capital, to anywhere else within that country, and all the other cities and towns and provinces going outside of that, it's going to be a lot more affordable. And so I compare central London to the outskirts of London, where it's going to be a lot more affordable to basically live in terms of living costs. Hopefully here you can catch the hustle and bustle. I can swivel this gimbal round, backwards, forwards, sideways, everywhere. But at the moment, as I say, I'm having a lot of teething problems with this right now. But hopefully, as you can see as I'm walking along, the whole idea here is you can see the rawness and me actually being out where I actually am, where I'm actually staying here in Metro Manila. Now, I'm very dubious about moving this joystick around because of, basically, when I talk about teething problems for my gimbal, basically it's just going nuts. It's like, if I'm going to press the function, obviously the functionality for it to go swivel around and, you know, show you outward looking rather than looking towards me or looking away from me, it just goes nuts. It's going in all directions. And if I can't sort it, because I can't be bothered to go through all these manuals and stuff, and actually I don't even know if I've thrown the manual away for this lovely gimbal that I'm using. Let me just cross over. I was going to attempt to do that, but I have since retracted. Right. So even as I'm trying to control it by holding it and not trying to press any of the functionality, it's still a little bit dubious right now. But I hope I can carry on using this gimbal because it's really handy, and obviously it acts as a selfie stick as well. But I am having a lot of issues with it right this now, in regards to the problem that I'm talking about. It just goes nuts. It just goes in all directions, and obviously it's just filming like everywhere. You'll be seeing the sky and everything and all sorts as it's going nuts. So anyway, in comparisons to London, England, the capital, central London, yeah, the price difference is, it's huge. Yeah, it's huge. It's another level, all right? Now, put it to where I am right now. I'm in Paranaque. And it's important to get the Nyaki correctly, because I've been pronouncing it Paranaki, and it's not Paranaki. It's spelled Paranaki, but it's got that squiggly thing going across the N. I don't know what it's called, but do you know, like, the accent sort of apostrophe thing going across, say for instance, a good example, so back to where I am at the moment. I am in Paranaque. Now I would say, give an example to a word like expose. Expose is the French word for expose, and you have an accent like a backward slash going on top of the E at the end of the word expose. I saw that sitting with the traffic as well, because there are not really any usable pavements around here, so I've got to sort of negotiate my way around. You'll know what I'm talking about if you've been here, or you are here, or you're looking to come here. So at the moment I am on a footpath, which can be quite refreshing when you... Hi, 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 hi! So you're gonna get so many friendly folk out here. If you haven't been here already, you will experience that. The local friendliness around here is, I would say quite unique to the world, yeah. But that's not to say you don't have friendly people. You got friendly people everywhere, right? But as I say, you can shout out. We got a shout out going on here now. Hopefully, say hello to your wives, your family, your relatives, your mistresses, anything.
What is your page?
Dave in Asia.
Hello?
Dave, my name is Dave, D-A-V-E. In Asia.
In Asia.
In Asia.
Good luck, good luck.
Thank you very much. You too. Take care. Okay. Hopefully I've won myself some subscribers there this morning. Yeah, so going back to... I'm going to end up spending a whole video talking about it. I'm going to try and get to the point here, because I realise I am quite talkative. So, expose, right? The word expose doesn't have any apostrophes or accents or anything, right? And the French word for expose is expose. And so there is an accent like this, like backward slash going over the E. And that's what makes it expose A rather than just expose. And so I'll bring this back to the name Paranaque. It's not Paranaque as an ignorant, how's it say, uncultured Londoner like me could easily mistakenly call it Paranaque. Paranaque. So the name Paranaque, in the N part of that name or that word, there is like this squiggly, I don't know what you call it, like this wiggly, squiggly apostrophe thingy going over the N part of the word, which makes it Paranaque. Yeah. So that's where I am basically. Paranaque is a big city. It's a big urbanized city within Metro Manila, and this is what I'm bringing it back to, the comparisons of living. Now I'm not going to go through budgets and all that stuff, because I'd say every individual, it's up to you as an individual to actually work out what is, should I say, an acceptable cost of living for you. Yeah, we'll go through that afterwards. But what does matter is that, let's say for instance, I would say, give an example, that a very, very posh rural, like, the most urbanized, I would say, well, it's the business district. Yeah, you got Bonifacio Global City, usually, well, I'd say better known as BGC over here, which is in Taguig, and right next to Makati. This is all Manila we're talking about here. and the very, very affluent parts of Manila. Yeah. Now, I would equate that to living in central London, north of the river. When I say north of the river, north of Thames, the River Thames. Just in case for folks out there who are not from the United Kingdom. Don't know what I'm talking about. I would say that equates to that. Now, if you've got deep pockets, I mean, that's good already, right? I'd say good for you if you've got deep enough pockets to live in somewhere like BGC or Makati. And actually it's not that bad. I mean, it's certainly a lot more affordable than living somewhere like central London, yeah, or somewhere like New York. Now, I've got some footpaths here to walk along, which I'll take full advantage of. By the way, incidentally, I am outside a big general store. You want to be on camera? Can you see? Shout out! Shout out to everyone! Hopefully you'll catch that, and over here as well. Yes, see? As I say, you just have to go along slow moving traffic or static traffic to get to know people here. It's great, I'll tell you. And so going back to, there's a lot of distractions, isn't there? And I'd say the whole vibe, the whole buzz around here, look at all the tricycles going by. I mean, it makes it just this very accessible. I'll quickly run across here because the bikes need to get through. Okay, we are approaching McDonald's. So we got a McDonald's here, a KFC here, Chowking Shakey's, which is an American pizza joint. Yeah. Now, going back to equating the cost of living, basically. Yeah, as I say, you got your two extremes, which are a very high cost of living. But as I say, I mean, you know, if you're pretty well off, got quite deep pockets for your own country, like in the West, like UK or US, then somewhere like BGC will be affordable to you. Yeah. And I think this is a nice, happening, densely populated with plenty of traffic around here. Which one I want to make my point is that this is where I'm staying, but without staying in somewhere like expensive to the extent of somewhere like BGC, Makati, Quezon City. You don't need to actually live like in the center there to be able to enjoy going there. Yeah. So as I say, a lot of things going on, and it's just the morning time. A lot of folks out and about, going to work, you know, just going to hang out, go where, because obviously there's plenty of places to eat here. I just came out of McDonald's and already full house in there. So okay, let me get this one. Let me get this one in. That condo that I stay in, it's a nice cozy little 1-bedroom number, and I'm paying to the equivalent of around £180 if you convert that into pound sterling, which will be equal to around $200 US. Yeah. And if you want to get like a 2-bedroom, maybe whack another £50 UK pounds on top of that, or 60 American dollars on top of that, and you should get yourself a 2-bedroom, nice 2-bedroom condo unit for that sort of price. Now, as I say, this is the street where I live at, and as you can see, there's plenty of action going on. There's plenty going on here, plenty enough to see, plenty of places to go, plenty of places to eat. Oh yeah, I'll go back to Pure Gold. I was a little bit distracted just now, right? Pure Gold is like basically a mini mart here, and there's actually 2 running along this street. That one I just walked past just this moment was actually the bigger store. So you just get it's a mini mart, a little superstore, and as well as getting obviously your food stuffs there, your toiletries, things like that, toilet roll, toothpaste, and all of that exciting stuff. I want to point to McDonald's here. As I say, I'm very dubious about controlling the gimbal, so what I'm going to actually do is manually put it up and down. So being mindful now about the rent, what is expensive about living in somewhere like London? And I'm talking about the outskirts and living outside your big cities of the US. Well, US I can't speak too much of, but maybe I can get some good American folks here to help me out. But what I suspect is that what makes things very unaffordable, as much as things in general cost of living, is the actual rent. What actually hurts us in the Western countries is accommodation, rent, yeah. Property prices, rent, and therefore rental prices are so high, so expensive, that it's just become unaffordable for a lot of folks. And you know, people end up, you know, just living paycheck to paycheck. I'll use that term. Obviously clearly stolen from a lot of, well, just a lot of chatter around at the moment, especially in the States right now. The things that those poor folks are going through right now with the cost of living and with inflation. And what I will say, I'll try and be this, how do you say, this voice of reason, this voice of calm, even though I'm not going through it myself at this moment, is that, you know, rates are being jacked up so high at the moment. The interest rates are being jacked up so high at the moment, the interest rates in America, and that is to calm down inflation. So unfortunately, you know, they have to harm, you know, one of the main aspects of the economy in order to cool down what is really hurting America at the moment, which is inflation. So while that's happening, you know, you're going to have to be patient and obviously let this fire go down itself in time, but that doesn't change, and it won't change how expensive the rental costs are in America. And going back to England, you know, you can realistically say anything between £800 to £1,000 just for a studio apartment in the outskirts of London. I'm not talking about central London, I'm talking about the outskirts of, like, you know, in the south, because in the north that's basically, it's all centralized around there, and that's where central London is. It's north of the river. And that's what hurts the most. So going to my point here is that when you're talking about living expenses, yeah, think about that. Think about the difference in living expenses. Now, if I'm paying under £200 a month for a nice gated community condo with security, with all your amenities, swimming pool and all the rest of it, yeah. And I mean, you know, you wouldn't even get that in London anyway, and not any part of England that I can think of. And so you wouldn't get that anyway, and if you could, it would obviously cost a lot. But without all of that, it costs a lot more anyway in somewhere like England. And I just want to show you the traffic here. It is solid, and it's like this every day here. And that's just to show you how big of a city this is. So, oh, no thank you, no thank you. No, very nice, but no thank you. No, I'm not in the market for any footwear at the moment. So, just have a think about that. Because when you talk about your everyday expenses, like for food, I mean, notwithstanding the fact that it can be a lot cheaper here, depending on what types of food and where you go out to get your food, and the difference between whether you're cooking at home or partially cooking at home some days of the week, and some days of the week you're going out to eat. And this is why I don't want to go down the road of budgets here, because, you know, everyone's going to have their own situation going on, yeah. But if you think about it, the actual core expenses, your fixed expenses, like your accommodation, your rental, your food expenses, so if you think like your electricity, those, although they are your fixed regular monthly costs, because let's face it, if you go to restaurants, you don't, you know, you can go from, you know, going out a couple of times a week to not going out at all, like in a month, you know, if you want. But when it comes to, you know, your utilities, your utility bills, your electricity, your water, but even, you know, because your real fixed cost is things like your rental, which doesn't change, yeah. But when you talk about your utilities, they can fluctuate. Do you want to use aircon, or don't you want to use aircon, or whatever, yeah? Or do you want to save more this month by cutting down on your usage, things like that. But there will be a level of cost. So when I say fixed, what I really mean is that there will be a minimum amount of usage there, a minimum amount of expense there, yeah, every month, and that ain't gonna change, yeah. But what you find is that if you're gonna use what you save on rental, say for instance it's the rent that really hurts you staying in somewhere like England, right? And let's give the example of the lower end of say £800 reduced to say £200. That's £600 which makes all the difference. That's a game changer when you talk about expenses, staying in somewhere like the Philippines. Be it whether you want to stay in somewhere like BGC or Makati, or you want to stay on the outskirts like I am now. That's a major difference. And that's what I want you to think about. I want you to have a think about that, because you can say you can cut down on this, that, or whatever, but the reason why we spend so much when we're abroad is, first of all, it's because we're somewhere else and we're using a different currency. So therefore, it's like playing with Monopoly money. Yeah? When you're in your own country, you're more inclined to budget, you're more inclined to think about all your fixed costs and really focus on your fixed costs. Yeah? And you're going to be a lot more frugal, or be more inclined to be, say, a lot more boring. Oh, I'm not going to go out this week at all and just save the money, right? Well, you're less likely to stay indoors when you're abroad. But let's talk about if you want to stay somewhere here like for a bit longer, because let's not talk about too much if you're on holiday. If you're on holiday, you can afford it, right? You know, go out every day, go out to a nice restaurant, or go out to a medium level restaurant. You know, you can do that. Yeah. So I mean, you know, let's not talk about so much. Let's talk about cost of living when you're actually living here, or you're retired here. You know, when you're in holiday mode, you will spend more, and therefore it gives you that misconception, I would say, that you feel that the cost of living, the expenses here are, you know, high as well. Well, no, because you could live, say, on the outskirts of Manila, all right, and still get the benefit of commuting up to town, like say somewhere like BGC, if you want to have a really good night out. And you don't have to be doing that every day or every other day, right? You can be boring on most nights of the week, but you will have access to basically being abroad effectively on holiday. I'm talking about when you're living here, being on holiday mode on, say, on the weekends, or, you know, a couple of times, or maybe even just once in the week. Yeah. So I would, and this isn't a joke or anything like that, right? I would highly recommend getting Netflix if you're staying here. Why? Because it gives you that sense of wanting to stay in, or don't mind being indoors. Because if you don't have Netflix, it's going to be easier to be bored at home, and you're going to want to go out more, and therefore you're going to want to spend money, right? So I need to go back the old way and run an errand, so I'm going to continue this afterwards. But anyway, the reason why we feel that expenses are high, and why they do become high when we start to live abroad, is because you're more inclined to go out. You're more inclined to go out and spend money. So if you bring yourself down a notch or two and try and adopt the habits of what you do when you're at home, oh, you know, I'm not going out, it's only the start of the week, stay in, cook at home, or there's plenty of local joints here. You know, I'm looking at this place and they do roast chicken. It's called lechon manuk here. And very cheap, 170 pesos. Which works out to be, I don't know, about £3, about $3.50 US, and you get like half a chicken. Obviously it's double for a whole chicken, but for like half a chicken, and it's all fresh. So you get this lovely, soft, juicy, tender roast chicken, and just boil your own rice and just sit in front of the box and watch Netflix all night. And with cheap rent as well, there's no reason why you can't live, and I'm not going to say as cheap as where you're as affordable, yeah. Let's not talk about cheap, because I'm going to go into that later. But even more so, because it is actually more affordable in terms of cost of living here. It just is, yeah. So let me continue on this journey afterwards. I am reluctant to switch off this gimbal because it's actually quite behaving itself quite well. Right, okay. So, as I was saying, it's my first time in Philippines, staying in Philippines, and what I'll talk about is going to expectations, which is important. Anything you do, and I'll talk about going abroad and living abroad, is about expectations here. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah. And my expectations would be, you know, because obviously we all have our own frames of references, and because I've traveled a lot, I've been fortunate to be able to travel over the past over 25 years now. To be more precise, it's around 27, 28 years now. I've been traveling everywhere around Europe, the States, but mostly Southeast Asia, namely Malaysia, Hong Kong, Thailand. And so my understanding is going to be, I would say, a lot more in tune, simply because of the experiences that I've been through. And so therefore, when I talk about my expectations, I would say, were more in line of my experiences anyway, being around Southeast Asia for many years. But this is what I will say about coming here, to being here in the Philippines, is that it's exceeded my expectations. It's exceeded my expectations as in, well, let's say for instance, people use, I would call it, maybe the best way I would describe it is a gap filler. And so not necessarily like a full term that is used, or even like an actual word even, because in Thailand they have the same thing. So over here you would, I mean, listen out for it, because it's important that you do, just as much as you listen out for people with their niceties and politeness, saying please and thank you. Over here they would use what I call I don't know, sentence fillers, right? They would say po or po, yeah, P-O basically, yeah. And you'll hear them saying it in between. So obviously they'll be speaking English to you and they'll be saying hello po or thank you po. And even though thank you is nice in itself, in of itself that term is obviously polite, the po actually emphasizes on the politeness, yeah. So funny enough, you know, when they say thank you over here, they also attach po to it, po or po, you know. Someone correct me here, yeah. But listen out for that, because you'll hear them saying it in between their words as they're talking to you. And don't even worry about please or thank you. There's probably going to be a few thank yous in that anyway, but what I'm saying is listen out for that, because the locals here, whenever they keep on inserting po in their sentences, they're being very polite to you. Think of it as saying please and thank you constantly in between the words that they say to you, yeah. Now, so what I say is that the level of politeness here, the people here, and what makes a country miserable, you know, or happy, it's a country, right? It's a people, sorry. And you know, in certain, I'd say like cities of a country, you know, people are stressed. For the most part, people are stressed. You know, you've got so much going on. I watched a film last night on Netflix, and it's starring Russell Crowe. And the film's called Unhinged, which I think is a very interesting. I mean, you just hear the title of that film, you know, just that word, and already you're intrigued, right? And I tell you, it's a good film. It's a good film, and you know, it's starring Russell Crowe. What more can I say, right? Anyway. If you watch out for the main characters of that movie, well, you got the victim, right? Because the antagonist, Russell Crowe, is obviously he's obviously got mental problems, right? And he's a very angry individual, and life and divorce, I guess that's what divorce gets you, right? And it shows this level of build-up, this pent-up level of just things going on in your life and in your situation. And this, shall I call it, a lady victim in this movie, who's the target of our good man Mr. Crowe, is that she's going through stuff as well, and it's the catalyst of that, it's what comes from that, which just has this build-up effect, and obviously which makes the film, as I say, you should watch it. It's a good film. This is what I'm talking about. This is why especially in the cities of anywhere, you get like this pent-up frustration, this build-up, you know, life's getting to you, you know, there's so much going on, and you know, work and you know, the pressures of work, and just, you know, money problems or whatever. Now that is evident, I see that, and Yeah, having all my experiences in life and being a Metropolitan Police officer for 14 years, you get to read people quite quickly. And so if you can, you can sense that people are in a good mood or they're not, or they're just, because you don't want to go thinking really, I think it's the wrong way to think that, that someone who doesn't even know you has got something against you, and they're being rude to you because it's something personal, because it's not. When you get random strangers, however you come across them or however you come to contact with them is, not polite towards you, is rude to you, is very abrupt towards you, I would say, for the most part, it's more than likely going to be nothing personal. I'd say for the most part, I'm not talking about individual situations or scenarios here, because of course you will get them. But generally, my point is that being here in Metro Manila, I haven't felt that at all here. People are, you saw it in that static traffic that I was going along. These people they got a heavy day in front of them, but do they let their stresses and strains get to them? No, not at all. If anything, they want to perk their mood up, if anything. And that's what I found here in Metro Manila. So now that's interesting. There is a young man riding, it looks like basically a DIY homemade electric scooter, and it looks like an engine from like a lawnmower or something like that. But I tell you what, I'll give him 10 out of 10 for creativity. Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, it gets you from A to B, right? Right, the sun's really coming out now. I am glad that I remembered to put my sunblock on. Okay, catch you afterwards. Oh yes, I think we are making progress with this gimbal and spinning it around as well. We are good. We are very good. All right, we are rocking and rolling. So, continuing on what I was saying about city life anywhere, in any country across the world, and I can only really speak for the West, right? Especially UK around it, but let me tell you, in England, UK, there is a lot of pent-up rage and anger, stresses and strains, and it only takes something very, very small for people to just explode. As I say, here in the Philippines, I don't see it, I haven't seen it, and we are in the central here. We are in the thick of it, Manila. We're not in some province where you expect, a small town, a small province where you expect people to be quite laid back, quite chilled out by nature or by environment, right? Because everything is relaxed in any small town you go to. But we're talking about the city centre, and here in Metro Manila, I would just say it's just as busy as places like London and places in the States. It can be a lot busier. You see the traffic here during you know, the rush, the rush hours, the rush times, and it can be even busier here. Traffic is at an absolute standstill because it's so jam-packed here in the city, and people here in Manila are just as chilled, just as relaxed, and that's what I really like about the attitudes over here, is that they just take things in their stride, the locals over here, and that is something of a breath of fresh air coming over here, I can tell you. So I need to get a McDonald's. So let's wrap it up there for now. As far as initial impressions go, over here in the Philippines, it's good, it's nice. Very good, very nice. Right, I will catch you later. See you in the next installment.